Hello Matt, I thought I'd do you a little video about how I like to do the Paladin with tanking. Alright, as you can see I'm using item 4 to 16 gear, but this here has actually got intellect on it, but it's much better than my other weapon I had, so I'll go with it. You can see you don't actually have a lot of options, I feel, when you're trying to tank and choose items and spells for this. I think the Judgment does one of the most damage, and then Avenging Wrath is pretty good when with the other options available. So if you can, you definitely want to get one of these Avenger's Shield that strikes an extra enemy, and that you also get mastery for each of them struck. That and the Judgment are the two that you really want. The other one that's pretty handy, but I haven't quite picked because I got the Judgment over top of it, is this one here in a light. I know I did tell you to go for the Blessed Hammer, but don't know if it changed since I saw it last, but I see you actually get an extra Avengers bounce for one, and you increase your block by 75%, which is obviously pretty cool. Since Judgment's going to be doing most of your damage, or a lot of it, the extra charge here is essential. This one here doesn't really matter, but if you're using Hammer of Justice, it's pretty good. I've gone for the Retribution Aura just for a little bit, tiny bit of damage, basically nothing. Helps hold a little bit of threat. The Hand of Protector, and given that the consecration is 15% larger and you get a bit more movement speed, I think that's better are these ones. This one, if you got lots of guys on there, I can see this being quite advantageous. Otherwise I'd probably go with the Righteous Protector. I'll need to play around a bit more with that. I suppose we can try and do a little a dungeon and see how this spec fares. As you can see, I like to play with a clean screen because for the immersive experience. Alright, what's the time on this? 1 minute. Hopefully we can get a healer and we'll see how we go. Alright. Hopefully will not be too long. So let's come out. Oh, guess I should pause it or something. Nah, that'll happen. Let's have a bit of a warm up over here. What we can talk about is the rotation. Alright, so Paladins are actually an interesting one and a bit more complex than what you might think. I've got this hidden using Bartender, but what you want to start off with is an Avenger's Shield, because if you look at Shield of the Righteous and the Grand Crusader, you can see that the Shield of the Righteous is going to give you extra armor and do an AoE damage, but you can see the Hammer of Righteous has a chance to reset your Avenger's Shield. So what I like to do is I like to start off with Avenger's Shield, the more you got, but then the next one you should do is the Shield of the Righteous until you get a proc for the Avenger's Shield. What will happen is the Judgment will actually bring down the remaining cooldown, as you can see there, of the Shield of Righteousness by at least 2 seconds and 4 seconds on a crit. So that's pretty important. So start off with the Avenger's Shield. If you're going for max DPS, you can keep hitting out the Shield of the Righteous. However, if you're going for the high mythic pluses and you need to keep the sustained armor up, you'll want to make sure that you're keeping them overlapped, so you're not just spamming it, that you always got the Shield of Righteous active. So again, Avenger's Shield, Shield of Righteous, and then I'll use both the Judgment. Then I'll put the Consecration down, and then I'll start spamming the Hammer of Righteous, which has got the extra chance to cool down the Avenger's Shield. I wasn't expecting the timer to take this long, but things like interrupts and stuff like that, if you're playing very seriously, I'd definitely have that on Tell Me When, but I know roughly the cooldowns for that and the other major ones. So, alright, let's see how this goes. So if you got some buffs at the start of the dungeon, I definitely recommend you doing that. So what do we got here? So you can see here that the damage isn't too bad really. Okay. Oh. Alright, pretty good for a start. So, alright. Yeah. So, the other thing I would mention is the Hammer of Righteous. If there's multiple enemies, that's when you might want to use that over Judgment. There's certainly single target or only a couple of ones, you'll want to use your Judgment. And I've got it that the more health they're losing, the more damage you'll do. So, oh, that wasn't exactly part of the plan, but let's go with it. Oh, these guys can heal on that, which can be a bit of a pain. So, as you can see, I got Handed Protector there. That'll only pop up when I'm under 75%. So, yeah. Oh. But, yeah, that's all.